hear the news about what's been going on in the Middle East, let me tell you about the origin and history of ISIS. ISIS was first established in 1999 by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. This group was known as the JTJ. It was a very small group, not very well funded, and didn't have a lot of money. This eventually would change during the Iraqi invasion in 2003 and in 2004. This group began to call for foreign fighters and also Middle Eastern fighters all across the world, even around the Middle East. And then in October of 2014, this group broke away from Al-Qaeda and would be known as ISIS. And its leader emerged as Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. And he declared, telling all Muslims to join them in their fight, in their campaign to stop all infidels, to get rid of them, to destroy them. And so their campaign would begin in Raqqa, in northern Syria. And there they would establish their own capital, and there they would begin their campaign across northern Syria into northern Iraq. They attacked a small majority of Yazidi Christians, and they forced thousands of them to flee into the Sinjar Mountains. And there the Kurdish forces came in and rescued the Yazidis and took them over into Turkey, where they would be safe from ISIS's harm. And the U.S. would bomb many of the ISIS militants who were trying to get closer to the mountains. ISIS has a strong philosophy of extremism and radical Islam. They continue to use that to brainwash people into believing that their religion is right, that Allah is the only one true God. Because if you are Christian, Hindu, or Buddhist, you will be forced to convert, or you will be done away with. And they have a lot of funding, not just within the Middle East, not within Syria and in Iraq, but also within Turkey, Iran, Libya, and Lebanon. And they are able to get money, weapons, and medical supplies to help their fighters who may have been injured or may need training. There are at least 30,000 fighters that are within this army, and they are willing to die for Allah, but also for Baghdadi. And they continue to come, not just from the United States, but also from Britain, and from Asia, and from Australia. They have a strong will to fight and to be able to spread the hate and the extremism and the radical Islam that they have. And so, knowing that the world leaders saw what was happening in the Middle East, they decided to form a 30-nation coalition. It consists of the U.S., Europe, Asia, and Africa, and also some Arab nations, which was very interesting, because they were afraid of ISIS, because if they did not get involved in this coalition, ISIS would come and cause chaos and war in their countries. And so they began a campaign to bomb the targets of ISIS in northern Syria and in northern Iraq. And this has continued for the last few months. And I'm sure you probably read in the news about the wounding of Baghdadi, who may be dead or alive, because of at least 50 militants who was with him during that time, and a bomb was dropped during a meeting, and killing not only the militants but also his bodyguard. And we don't know if he's actually dead. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. No one knows. ISIS is very much consumed in their ways. They will do nothing but to create a caliphate, an Islamic state that is filled with radicalism, extremism, and hate, and to drive those that are non-Muslims out of Middle Eastern countries. And the thing that drives them is their religion. That's what they drive on. It's religion, because they know that they can use that against people by creating videos and to scare people into thinking that if they stay, they'll be forced to convert to Islam. If they flee, they'll be safe. But knowing they only have two options, those two options are very limited. And seeing what has been happening in the Middle East is very frightening, because you see that ISIS is much bigger than what Al-Qaeda was. Al-Qaeda was a small group, but had a lot of operations. This took years to build. Not just months, but years to be able to build a group so large and so well-funded that it's almost scary to believe that this group even exists today. Because who knew what would happen in '99, would come into fruition now. Baghdadi and his followers are continuing to call for more fighters, for more people to come and join their fight. And even with the Kurds, they are trying to protect not only themselves but also their families and their country, because ISIS continues to get closer and closer to them. And the Turks refuse to help the Kurds because of a long conflict that has lasted for years, because they believe the PKK is continuing to work with ISIS. But that's not true. ISIS is the only main cause, and the Kurds are trying to stop them from advancing even further into Turkey and causing more problems and more war and more bloodshed. And that is why so many world leaders around the world were concerned, because if they didn't do something about it, it would take a matter of time before ISIS eventually would take over the entire world, and there would be so much left. And in conclusion, ISIS is a terrorist group that needs to be reckoned with.